Welcome, everyone, to this explainer. If you've ever felt your heart rate spike just a little bit when stepping into a restaurant in an English-speaking country, or maybe you've felt that sudden rush of panic when the waiter walks up to your table with their notepad, well, you're literally in the perfect place today. Our whole goal with this explainer is to take all of that restaurant anxiety and completely transform it into conversational confidence. We're going to break down the exact phrases, the cultural nuances, and those unspoken rules of ordering food. Okay, let's dive into this. And look, to make these skills actually stick, we aren't just going to stare at some random list of vocabulary words. No way. Instead, we're using a chronological walkthrough of a real-life dining journey. By looking at this step-by-step, literally from the second you pull open the restaurant door to the moment you leave your tip, we make these interactions incredibly easy to mentally rehearse. You can visualize exactly where you are in the process, and that is absolutely crucial for retrieving the right words at the exact right time. So here is the menu for our explainer today. 1. Entering and seating. 2. Navigating the menu. 3. Placing your order. 4. Etiquette and polite tone. And finally, 5. Paying the bill. All right, starting off with number 1, entering and seating. Step 1 of our journey. Picture this. You're walking through the doors of a bustling restaurant. The host makes eye contact with you. You really want to respond clearly here, right? Imagine the host says, "Welcome, how many?" You just smile and reply, "Hello, a table for 2, please." Notice how my voice kind of goes up slightly at the end there? It's simple, it's direct, and it sets a really warm tone. Obviously, if you have 3 people, it's a table for 3, please. Or if you're super prepared and have a reservation, it's just, "Hello, we have a reservation for 2 under the name Smith." Honestly, this phrase right here is your golden ticket in. Moving right along to section 2, navigating the menu. Step 2 of the journey. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is that it's often where people completely freeze up. You're seated, you're getting comfortable, but there are no menus on the table, and you need to figure out what you actually want to eat. If you're ever sitting there wondering what to do next, this is your anchor phrase. Can I see the menu? Actually, let's pause for just a second. I want you to try saying that out loud right now, wherever you are. Can I see the menu? Getting comfortable with the pronunciation of this question ensures you aren't just left sitting awkwardly at an empty table. It invites the waiter over and kicks off the whole service. Okay, so once you actually get that menu, it can sometimes feel like a giant puzzle. You might run into some confusing terminology, and I really want to highlight the biggest culprit right now, the word entree. So in French, and honestly in many parts of Europe, an entree is the appetizer, right? The entrance to the meal. But in North American English, particularly in the US and Canada, the entree is actually the main course. If you don't know this, you might accidentally order a massive steak when you just wanted a light little salad to start. So remember this rule of thumb. Appetizers are first, the entree is the main event, and dessert is at the very end.
Which brings us to section 3, placing your order. Step 3 of the journey.
All right, so you've decoded the menu, and the waiter has returned with their notepad ready. This is it, the core interaction of the entire dining experience. But what if you are completely stuck? Well, asking for a recommendation is a fantastic way to build conversational confidence. It completely takes the pressure off you to make the perfect choice and allows the waiter to just guide you. Let's role play this real quick. You say, "I really like seafood. Could you recommend something?" And the waiter smiles and says, "Absolutely, our grilled salmon is fantastic today." See? It instantly turns a stiff transaction into a real helpful conversation. Now, when you are finally ready to pull the trigger, this is the absolute safest, most polite, and honestly most common way to begin. I'm going to say this kind of slowly and clearly. I would like to order. Take your time and really enunciate those words. I would like to order the grilled salmon, or I would like to order the house salad. It's clear, it's confident, and it perfectly frames your final choice for the waiter. No guesswork required. Now we're moving into section 4, etiquette and polite tone. Step 4 of the journey. So the crucial point here is that in English-speaking hospitality, how you ask for something is often just as important as what you are asking for. It's really all about tone. Just look at the difference here. Imagine a flat, demanding voice just saying, "I want a burger." Okay, now compare that to a warm, polite tone asking, "Could I please have a burger?" Now, I know in some languages, a direct translation of "I want" is perfectly normal. It's totally acceptable. But in English, saying "I want" to a waiter sounds blunt, it sounds demanding, and honestly, a little bit rude. Using those modal verbs like could I, may I, or I would like is literal music to a waiter's ears. It is so, so much better received. Let's do a super quick essential etiquette check.
Now, these might seem totally obvious, but they are literally the glue that holds English social interactions together. Number one, always say please when making a request. Number two, always say thank you when the waiter brings your food, refills your water, or clears your plate. Being polite to the staff isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a fundamental cultural expectation in English-speaking environments. Basically, good manners equal great service, for sure. And that brings us to the final step, Section 5, paying the bill. Step 5 of the dining journey. So the plates are cleared, you are full, you're happy, and it's time to wrap up the meal smoothly. But how do you signal that you're ready to leave without, making it awkward? Well, this is your absolute go-to phrase. Could we get the check, please? Let's do another quick practice pause here. Just imagine catching the waiter's eye as they walk by, giving a polite little smile and asking just that. Could we get the check, please? Just a quick side note. In the UK, you might hear the bill instead of the check, but honestly, both are widely understood everywhere. It's the most natural way to transition to the end of your meal. Okay, so when that check actually arrives, you might look at the receipt and see a very formal word printed right at the bottom, gratuity. Now, gratuity is just the formal, fancy word for a tip, the extra money given to a waiter for their service. Don't let this big vocabulary word catch you off guard. Sometimes gratuity is included, especially if you're dining with a really large group, which just means the tip is already baked into the final price. But most of the time, it's left completely blank for you to fill in. And that brings us right to the most common anxiety for non-native speakers and visitors. How much do you actually tip? To put it simply, in many English-speaking countries, particularly the US and Canada, 15 to 20% of your total bill is the absolute standard tipping percentage. If the service was, just standard, 15 to 18% is totally normal. If the service was truly excellent, 20% is customary. Understanding this simple mathematical rule honestly solves so much of that end-of-meal stress. It's a real game changer. All right, to bring this whole shebang together, here is a quick cheat sheet for ultimate confidence. First up, speak slowly. You don't need to rush. Clear communication is always better than fast communication. Second, please don't fear mistakes. Waiters speak to literally hundreds of people a day. They are excellent at figuring out what you need. Third, ask for repetition. If you don't understand the soup of the day, just say, "Could you repeat that, please?" And finally, practice politely. Use your pleases and thank yous like we talked about. By mastering these simple steps, navigating the menu, and relying on polite phrasing, you have completely unlocked the dining experience. You've got the tools, you know the etiquette, and you know exactly how to handle that check. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. What will you order at your next English-speaking restaurant? Will it be the entree? Or maybe you'll start by asking for a recommendation. Get out there, test your new skills in the real world, and most importantly, enjoy your next great meal.